This is big, by 0.4 millimeters all around. And the biggest iPhone ever also brings some big changes. I tested the camera, display, performance, battery life, and they all got major improvements. But are they enough for you to accept the plateau? That's actually what they're calling it. Well, my thoughts on the design changed a lot from when I first looked at it to when I actually got it in my hand. At first, I thought the aluminum would feel like a downgrade from titanium. It was really cool on the iPhone 16 Pro Max. The texture on the sides haven't shown any signs of wear because of how hard titanium is. And if you don't use a case, the aluminum on the 17 Pro Max is definitely going to show more wear, but there are some benefits to the new unibody aluminum chassis. It just means that the entire phone's side and back is made out of one continuous piece of aluminum. So there are no edges at the sides of the phone, and because they're rounded, this phone feels very soft and smooth. And the plateau isn't as obtrusive as it looks. You can see it doesn't really stick out that far. However, unlike the Pixel, the camera still sticks out on top of the plateau. So when you put the phone down, it still rocks. Not in a good way. Since the plateau is aluminum, now a much bigger percentage of the back is made out of aluminum, and that does improve the performance, which we'll talk more about later. Now, let me show you something you probably never noticed. The new design, for some reason, seems to need less of these antenna lines. So it's finally perfectly symmetrical at the bottom. But for wireless charging, you cannot have the entire back be aluminum. So you have this patch of matte glass here. It looks kind of funny, like it's already got one of those MagSafe wallets on it. This back glass is Apple's typical ceramic shield, and that's actually not the case with the front glass this year. It's upgraded to Ceramic Shield 2, which is supposed to be tougher, but more importantly, it's definitely less reflective than before. After using the S25 Ultra for about a year, I have to say a good anti-reflection coating does make a big difference in the user experience. In anywhere besides a dark room, the phone just looks consistently better with more contrast and vibrancy. The iPhone 17 Pro Max's anti-reflection coating is a notable step up from before, but side by side with the S25 Ultra, it's still not quite as good. This chart here shows exactly how much light is being reflected back, and the new iPhone is right in between last gen and the Ultra. So if you're coming from an older iPhone, this less reflective glass combined with an even brighter 3000 nit screen does make it look nicer in almost all conditions, especially in brighter environments. Although don't expect the 3000 nits to look drastically brighter since nits is in log scale. Also, I can't believe there are only 3 colors this year, and one of them is this traffic cone orange. I got the blue color and it's great, but it's not really new. Just look at how similar it is to the blue iPhone 15 Pro Max. It's just kind of weird because Apple's been releasing 4 colors for the Pro ever since its introduction in 2019. And just like the design choices made this year, the cameras are also very different. Well, at least the selfie camera. So what even is a multi-aspect camera? It basically means it's a square sensor, and when you're taking a normal vertical selfie, you're getting this vertical rectangular slice of the sensor. But if you press the landscape mode button, then you're gonna get a horizontal slice of the sensor. So it no longer matters which way you hold the phone, it's all going to be the same. I do like landscape mode selfies, and being able to hold the phone vertically while taking those is pretty convenient. But for me, the bigger improvement is the field of view. By default, it still takes the pretty zoomed in selfie like before. But once you click the zoom out button, you have a much wider field of view. I love that. You can get so much more background in your selfies now. I do wish there's a way to get the wider field of view as a default. And the quality has gotten a bit better too. In good lighting, it looks pretty similar to before, but in low light, I do look way less pink and more natural on the new iPhone. Since the sensor is bigger, there's also more room to digitally stabilize the footage. Here's a selfie video of me running around with both of the phones. I was shocked how big of a difference it made, especially the side-to-side swaying is way more stable. And speaking of great features, this new charger has a great one. You know, sometimes you bring the charger but forget the cable, or you throw a few cables in your bag and they end up all tangled and messy. With a new TORRAS Flexline charger, that'll never happen again because this has a built-in 1 meter long cable that's retractable. And the best part is the cable's head is magnetically stuck to the charger. That's so neat. Even with this built-in, the charger is still very compact, and it even has a second USB-C port. So one charger is all I need for my laptop and phone. This charger can provide up to 67 watts, which is great because the new iPhone 17 Pro Max needs at least 40 watt to charge as fast as possible. And with its smart temperature control, it keeps the battery from overheating and helps your brand new iPhone last longer. I also have this super slim Minimag power bank that still contains 5,000 milliamp hours. So it practically doubles the iPhone 17 Pro Max's battery capacity. And of course, I got a new phone case too. It has this strong MagSafe ring, so this power bank and any other MagSafe accessory attaches very securely to it. And this ring also doubles as a kickstand. Check out these accessories from TORRAS at the link down below. Okay, continuing onto the cameras on the back. The main and ultra-wide cameras are the same as before. They're both 48 megapixels and really high quality. Also, it's great that the iPhone defaults to 24 megapixels. If you compare it to most other phones that default to 12 megapixels, the photos do look a bit more detailed and also have less of the artificial sharpening look to it, which I really like. Especially now that the iPhone has good lock support, even in terms of video, the iPhone gets extremely close to a real camera. There's also the new Final Cut camera app that allows you to take ProRes RAW, which means that you can change things like the exposure and color temperature in post without having to compromise on the video quality. However, you will need an external drive and software that can process it. The only criticism and the easiest way to tell that it's an iPhone instead of from a real camera is in the out of focus areas. The background just looks more busy when it's from these tiny lenses. But the biggest change is that the telephoto camera is now also 48 megapixels and by default takes 24 megapixel photos as well. It is now a 4x camera instead of 5x, and you might think that that's a downgrade or that you'll lose reach. But that's actually not true. Since the new 48 megapixel sensor has a much higher resolution, at 5x, it basically looks the same as last gen. And at 10x, the new phone looks better with more detail, despite having to digitally crop in more. So this new camera setup is just better in every single way. There's less of a gap when zooming. The 16 Pro Max really falls apart at 4x. Whereas on the 17 Pro Max, the telephoto takes over earlier, and this focal length is also a bit easier to use than 5x for things like portraits. You can get some cool photos without having to be so far away from your subject. And let's take a look at this camera system in comparison to its biggest rival, the S25 Ultra. The Ultra has one more camera, which means that it has even less of a gap between the different lenses. However, the 3x telephoto just isn't that great. It has a 5x telephoto that's also 50 megapixels. So it might seem that the S25 Ultra would have more reach than the iPhone 17 Pro Max, but does it really? Well, looking at them side by side at 10x, it's in fact really hard to tell which one's better. Samsung runs a very aggressive sharpening algorithm, so the image looks a little sharper, whereas the iPhone looks more natural. But objectively, if you look at this chart, the line pattern on here mushed together at exactly the same point, which means neither captured more information. So I would say the reach is about the same. And just like the Samsung, the new iPhone can also do dual recording now, where you can record a selfie video and what you're seeing at the same time. That's pretty fun, and I feel like it should be a software feature that goes to the older iPhones, but it's not. Also for me, the camera app sometimes lags a bit, but that might just be an early software thing. When it comes to performance and battery life, the new A19 Pro processor is made with the same 3nm manufacturing process as before, but Apple managed some pretty big improvements nonetheless. It's 32% faster than last gen in 3D Mark. And processing speed aside, the iPhone 17 Pro Max finally got a vapor chamber, just like basically all the Android flagships. A vapor chamber is cool. It's essentially a small chamber that holds a special liquid, and when the liquid is heated up, it becomes a gas and transfer the heat to other parts of the chamber. So it moves the heat from the processor to the entire backside of the phone. And it works really well here. Despite initially scoring lower on this 3D Mark stress test than the S25 Ultra, it actually keeps more of its performance and starts beating the Ultra after 4 minutes. And you can see in the thermal camera, the heat is spread out more evenly. But actually, all of that might look small when compared to how much more battery life this phone has. Especially if you live in a country that gets eSIM, then you get more than 5,000 milliamp hours, which is 5.3% bigger than the Nano SIM version and 8.6% bigger than last gen. A 20-minute benchmark only used 7% on the iPhone 17 Pro Max compared to 8% on the 16 Pro Max and 11% on the S25 Ultra. And in an almost 7-hour-long video playback test, the new iPhone lasts about 42% longer than the 16 Pro Max and 29% longer than the S25 Ultra. That's pretty incredible. Even if you set the max charge limit to 80% for battery health, you should still have enough to get through any day. And the software this year changed almost as much as the hardware, especially visually. The new liquid glass is very different. I've actually been testing iOS 26 ever since the beta came out, and I mostly like it. The UI elements look very satisfying, especially the way it moves. There are some niche scenarios where the text and icon can be hard to see. And this new transparent icon mode might look fun at first, but it's kind of disorienting without any color, and it takes me way longer to find the apps. But you don't have to use this, you still have the normal options here. And there are definitely several new features that could make your life a lot easier. The hold assist is a lifesaver. I absolutely hate the holding music. I've used this a few times now, and it is pretty reliable. I also turned on call screening for unknown numbers, so now more often I can know what's spam and what's legit. Circle to search is one of my favorite features on Android phones, and the Apple Visual Intelligence feature might just be better. Instead of a simple reverse image search, you can also ask ChatGPT directly about the image and even have follow-up questions. But it can do even more than that, like adding events to your calendar directly. You can get to the visual intelligence either by taking a screenshot or from the control center, which then uses the camera. So yeah, that's the iPhone 17 Pro Max. It has almost the perfect set of cameras with no one camera being left behind now. The less reflective display and insane battery life just makes it even better. I'm honestly surprised by how solid and well-rounded it is now. Leave any questions you have about this phone in the comments below. Thanks for watching and subscribe if you enjoyed.